Justin Trudeau can't even get his own story straight when it comes to the $15 billion worth of light armored vehicles that are being exported from Canada to Saudi Arabia. The deal between the Saudi military and General Dynamics Land Systems in London, Ontario, was actually inked under the previous Conservative government, but Justin Trudeau has eschewed numerous opportunities along the way to slam the brakes on it. He has, by inaction, and in some cases by very specific action, ratified this deal along the way. But now he's finding himself at odds with, well, himself. Trudeau said in a recent interview his government is looking for a way out of the deal to block further export of the vehicles that Saudi Arabia, again, may be using against civilians. But wait, I thought Justin Trudeau said he couldn't do anything about it. That's been one of the recurring themes in the Liberal defense of this plan. Let's take a look at the history of this, shall we? When the deal was signed, Trudeau literally did not say a word about it in the House of Commons. No Liberals did. In fact, my research shows that the first time anyone brought it up in the House was more than a year and several months after the deal was announced. Liberal Marc Garneau, who's now a minister in Trudeau's cabinet, spoke up and asked if Canada had received assurances that this was not going to be used against civilians. The Conservatives said they were assured that human rights obligations were being met, and there was nary a follow-up from Marc Garneau or anyone else. Once the Liberals were in power, Stéphane Dion was the Foreign Affairs Minister. He was asked about this and said that it was not, in his view, his role to intervene in the affairs of a private company. His words, a private company. But that backfired. And a day later, I think it was, he changed his tune and started to say, well, you know, he can't actually do anything about it because it was a Conservative deal. So it was the typical Liberal playbook, blame Stephen Harper and get rid of all personal responsibility. Either way, he personally signed the export permits. He personally put his signature on there to say, all right, well, I guess that we're going to send these pieces of equipment to Saudi Arabia. This is what the Globe and Mail had to say about Stéphane Dion's role. The Liberal government has taken full ownership of the decision, which they once said they were unable to stop. So Trudeau can't even get on the same page as himself here. This is something Justin Trudeau said about the deal earlier this year in March. Permits are only approved if the exports are consistent with our foreign and defense policies, including human rights. Our approach fully meets our national obligation and Canadian laws. Now, in October, right after the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, a murder that we now know goes right up to the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, this is what Trudeau had to say then. The contract signed by the previous government makes it very difficult to suspend or leave that contract. This is what he said to CBC, going back to the previous playbook of blaming the Conservatives. But then he said we could get out of it. We would just have to pay the $1 billion bill that goes along with that. And now Trudeau is singing yet another tune, saying he thinks we can get out of it and his government is going to find a way. They're looking at their options right now. I get dizzy trying to keep up with all of the different conflicting and contradictory positions that the Liberals, the same party, are putting out on the same issue. Not just the same party, the same person, Justin Trudeau, has continuously changed his mind on whether this is a good deal, a bad deal, something he supports, something he opposes, something he can change, something he can't change. My goodness, the guy is two-faced all in one. The left hand doesn't know what the far left hand is doing. And look, as I've said from the get-go here, nobody can be surprised at the Saudi Arabia human rights record. The Conservatives never should have let this deal be inked in the first place, and the Liberals never should have followed through on it. They, doing so, surrendered their moral high ground to criticize the deal, which is where we find ourselves here. The Saudi Arabia human rights record is abysmal, almost as bad as Justin Trudeau's consistency record. For the True North Initiative, I'm Andrew Lawton.